Hey, what's going on? It's Gary from fitnessfirstnutrition.com. I'm here back with another video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Today we have a video. We're going to react to a reaction of Anton Daniels. So you can check out the rest of the video or any other videos you want to see from Anton on his channel. Anton Daniels is the name of the channel. I agree with a lot of things, a lot of his takes. We're on the same page, but with this, I feel like this is where we depart a little bit. So I watched a little bit of the video and then I stopped in and said, I want to do a reaction to this. So let's get into the video.
They call this a fashion takeover, but whose streets do these look like, Chuck? Whose streets do they look like? They look like our mother streets. The police, the police, the police, the police, the police,
So you guys are actually protesting for crime. You have people that are born here in America, that are protesting against safer streets and are protesting for illegal migrants into this country, taking advantage of opportunities that otherwise would be for other people.
If no one ever taught you how to manage your money,
So this is not where we differ. I'm in favor of ICE. I'm in favor of all the deportations. The National Guard is where I have the issue, not ICE at all.
founder of Dow Jones, and I'm here to tell you something that
You have people
Don't support any of the protests that are against ICE.
people protesting for, because I want y'all to understand exactly what we're looking at, right? We're not looking at peaceful protests, number one. Whenever you see footage or whenever the United States of America actually does something good, we get crime down to zero. We eliminate all of the drug dealers and we eliminate all of the cokeheads and the drugs that's inside of your communities, or children are able to walk down the street safe and nobody is actually getting arrested for doing something that they wasn't supposed to do, and guns getting removed from your streets, and homicides stopping. And I didn't even realize it until I actually started digging into the statistics. And one of the most crime-ridden areas right outside of the White House. When people visit Washington, D.C., they don't see rose gardens and fun and joy and stuff like that prior to Trump stopping all of the crime that's inside of D.C. You actually seen homelessness and tent camps and people that were actually robbing, stealing, and killing. And the stores now don't have to worry about getting knocked over and robbed. And, graffiti is being cleaned up. So you're telling me that they are basically protesting for anarchy, for drug dealers. I know that they love to see the white apologists and black people come, as far as the criminals and the serial killers and the drug pushers. I know they love to see y'all coming, because honest to God, it's almost like y'all are on the wrong side of every single issue that takes place in popular culture, and you utilize your time for the most worst thing that can happen to the neighborhoods and the community. Good God. Aren't y'all tired? Aren't y'all tired of losing? Because that's the biggest thing. It's not as though the Trump administration has ever been to the will of liberals or people with signs, beating on drums, running through the streets, getting themselves arrested in records. It's not like he's going to stop arresting people that came over into this country illegally. It's not like we're going to not win when it comes to making sure that we eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we need to make sure that men stay out of women's bathrooms. And
All right, he's covering a lot of different topics right now. But first of all, from what I've seen, unless he's seen something different than me, these are peaceful protests. They're out there, they're making noise, and they have signs in their hand, but I haven't seen anyone get assaulted or any violent acts happen. So as far as I know, these are peaceful protests. Now, as far as everything else, ICE, yes, ICE needs to be able to do their job. Let's get the deportations going, and I support that. However, as far as the National Guard coming in, I just can't roll with that. 9 days without a homicide is a blessing. So I'm not going to take nothing away from that. Lives were saved, and that's a W. But I mean, we got to keep it real. 9 days is not a trend. It's a moment, and at some point, the National Guard will have to leave. And it's not an answer. It's a band-aid. It's a really small thing. It doesn't really address the issue. It'll take some people off the street, but there are more than enough people to come and take the place of those violent offenders. So it's good that we have those violent offenders or potential violent offenders, people with illegal weapons, felons, maybe in possession of weapons, off the streets. But it's not really solving the issue. And we have to take into consideration, we have to start off with violent crime in DC was already dropping before the National Guard showed up. So in 2024, the homicides are down. So I think last year went down to about 187, like 187, 190, somewhere in that range, which was a 30-year low. So carjackings was already down from 600 to less than 200. So the National Guard has come in and they have done good. They have pretty much ramped up the drop already. So they've accelerated the drop and they've brought it to pretty much nothing. But The reason why it doesn't solve anything is because obviously while the National Guard there, the military figures are there, they see ICE everywhere, and people are scared of letters. So even if you know ICE is not there for you, you know that they are law enforcement and that you have to behave a certain way while they're there. But once they go away, it's business as usual. So the thing is that Trump is using the DC Home Rule Act to justify the takeover. So the law allows the president to take control of the DC police for up to 30 days. Uh, they're allowing him to federalize the National Guard, which I didn't know before this happened, but the National Guard is state run, and the president can federalize because we don't use our military, in the United States. So he goes to the National Guard, which is state, because he's not going to use the federal, which is the actual military, Army, Marines, things of that nature, and put them on the street. So the National Guard, less intimidating, and he federalized those, which is why when he requested, I didn't understand this, when he requested for Nancy Pelosi to send the National Guard for January 6th, I didn't understand why he didn't send them, but he didn't have the power to send them. So he couldn't federalize them. It wasn't enough time, assuming. And with him going out of office and a lot going on, he probably didn't have the opportunity to federalize the National Guard. And that's why he asked Nancy Pelosi. She blew it off. January 6th turned into what it turned into. Neither here nor there. So back to what's going on. So again, so the crime, so this is for emergencies. So the Home Rule Act is put in place in case there's an emergency, but there was really no emergency. So violent crime was already, or at least homicides are at a 30-year low. You have violent crimes going down. And the only reason that they were able to pull this off was because it was an attack on a former government staffer, and that sparked outrage within the Trump administration, and rightfully so. Now the actions that are being taken afterwards, I'm not going with that, but I can understand outrage. So I mean, that was one incident. So you don't call the military in for one incident. Now, if you want to talk about maybe California, at least what we see going on in California, that makes sense. That's an emergency. Your ICE agents are being attacked. The police it makes more sense than what they're doing in DC. And now they're talking about moving them to Chicago and all these other places. And that's not how this game is supposed to go. That's not what the National Guard is for. They're not here to police things. We're not supposed to have military in our streets. So we're heading down a pretty dangerous path, and I don't really know. This is about public safety, but I also believe that this is about setting a precedent, and it's a pretty dangerous precedent. So again, the real issue is federalizing the National Guard and using them as police it's just dangerous, because once you give the government power, they normally don't give back the power. Once you set a precedent that, hey, we did it for this reason, then we're going to say we're going to do it for this reason, and then oh no, we add a little bit more to it. Now we're doing it for this and that reason, and then so on and so on, and then it just becomes a bigger and bigger thing. Kind of like when 9/11 happened, you get metal detectors, then you have to take your shoes off, and then you get a body scanner, and then you get biometrics and face scans and all of these things that are happening now. Government always escalates the use of power. They never bring back and relinquish the power. So some experts are saying that this is a departure from what the National Guard is supposed to do. I also feel this way. So one of the legal scholars was saying that you have to go back to like the 1800s to find out like the last time the federal government used troops for civilian law enforcement. So I mean, that's quite a long time ago. It's horse and buggies. There's no cars. There's no V8s out there. And DC is not a state, so the president has more power over it than anywhere else. He can call it the DC National Guard without local approval. And that's why Mayor Bowser is stuck cooperating, even though the mayor doesn't really want to cooperate. The mayor has to. And I mean, it's kind of unsettling. It's unprecedented. Well, now there's been precedent set. So the Band-Aid, they've deployed 800 or so troops, 500 federal agents. It's just temporary. Again, like, let's get ICE in there, let ICE do their job. I don't know. I don't know what needs to be done. Obviously, crime needs to be addressed. Crime is actually down, and a lot of conservatives, which I'm a conservative, but I have no real allegiance to anything but conservatism. So I'm not a rhino. I don't go lockstep. Right is right and wrong is wrong. That's how I play. So a Democrat can be right, a Republican can be right. And I think that's the fairest way to do it. And instead of this gang mentality of we're going to just go with our party, we're going to just go with our gang. So what's the real answer? Let's cut the nonsense. What's the right answer? So I'm not saying it's easy, but if we want to keep this 9 days going, we want more 9 day streaks. We can't look for quick fixes. This is a quick fix. It was cute, but it's time to move on. We need real solutions. We need to obviously invest in our communities. We need more jobs, better schools, mental health programs. But the biggest thing is we need to support local police with proper funding and training, not soldiers who don't know the streets, and give DC, and not just DC, give we need to help with the funding in most of these inner cities around America, because the federal overreach is just wild. I mean, if you live in a city with home rule, imagine the president being able to take over your police department. That's not how this country was designed. It was designed really specifically so these people do this department does that, this department does that, and there's a separation for a reason. And this plays into what's happening now is playing into and kind of making people feel like he was going to be a dictator or he was going to overreach his power, is really playing into those things that I didn't feel were true, but it's kind of hard for me to speak against, those actions when he does things like this. So anyway, how do you feel about it? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Anton? We didn't play all of Anton's video, but again, you can check out his whole video on his channel. Anton Daniels is his channel. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know. Do you agree with me? You agree with him? You have a different opinion? Are you for military units in the inner cities, in the cities in general, on the streets? Are you against it? Do you have an idea on how to stop crime, slow crime, or help out? But anyway, I'm Gary from fitnessfirstnutrition.com, and I'll see you on the next video.